Hello. You are listening to the Carroll Connection with your host, Jared Carroll.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Carroll Connection. I am your host, Jared Carroll, here to bring you guys another great episode. It's been a minute. I took off the holidays basically for like my own little break basically to kind of clear my head. I did this last year, if anyone remembers. I had someone lined up for about mid-December, but obviously with COVID running rampant, I had to cancel that, and I want to prioritize safety and health. So any future guest, I usually book 3 weeks in advance. If something happens or you test positive, just let me know. We reschedule. There's no issues with that. I did want to take a chance to shout out last week's episode 84 with Brittany Brackett. She's a couples photographer as well as a dancer. Also danced with Lizzie Fournier. You guys check out her episode. It was a really great episode. You can check that out at carrollconnection.simplecast.com. Also available at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the major listening platforms. For today, repeat that, episode 85 with a former guest who was on episode 5, Zach Carter.
What's going on, everybody? How's it going?
Good to have you back, man. It's been literally 80 episodes, about 2 years since we've done the original podcast.
Yeah, man, and it's pretty crazy to see where you come from. I mean, I walked in and you have all this equipment now, and it's pretty great. I mean, you're doing it, and it's pretty good. So first off, kudos to you, man. That's
I appreciate
awesome.
that. It's a totally different vibe, because honestly, when I was doing the podcast with you and Rob, I had no fucking idea what I was doing.
Yeah, and I was nervous myself. I'm like, this kid's like just starting all this off, and it's pretty cool because like that was actually the time I was getting into podcasting too, like just listening to them, like because I had a really long commute to work at that time. So
yeah, and like that, I'm pretty sure your episode is top 3. I want to say it's the second most downloaded. I think it's Kate, you, Eric is the top 3. So I mean, that's nice. Kudos to you.
Yeah, people listen. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you definitely did most of the talking on episode 5.
He did a good amount. Rob did a good job, but
Rob was very particular because obviously his career, so he didn't want to talk about his career too much. So shout out Rob. I don't know if you'll listen to this or not, but I obviously wanted to have you back on because there's so much that has been happening since then. I've been in fucking 2 years. Like literally when we did this, the pandemic wasn't a thing yet. So like now we throw that into it, and we'll obviously touch upon this. And for everyone that doesn't know, this episode basically is going to be a 2021 year-end review. So usually my year-end, I was going to say entries. My work is like on my mind, obviously. My episodes, usually I kind of wrap up and talk about the year in general, kind of what I've gone through personally. And I knew Zach was coming back for the holidays, so I wanted to get him on the podcast, and we're going to kind of do that. And he's obviously going to catch you guys up on his life. So kind of catch everybody up since kind of episode 5, which is crazy.
Yeah. I mean, for me, once, I think we did this actually around the same time in 2019, I want to say.
Yeah, correct.
So a few years ago. And, you know, just hanging out. I was working in Boston, commuting back and forth from Seekonk to there. So that was a lot to do. And I got really kind of tired of it over the course of the year. And then obviously we started hitting this crazy pandemic with COVID, and after that, it really started sinking in. Like, I didn't think it was that serious at first. I was like, whatever. Like, you know, my job's kind of, you know, it needs to happen. So people, you know, I don't think we're going to shut down. And then, you know, all of a sudden the NBA shuts down and everything like that. And it kind of like really hit me. Like, okay, this is like pretty serious. So I should probably take this a lot more serious myself. So, you know, I put like my mother's perspective and all her health issues, because she does have a lot. So I wanted to make sure that she was safe and okay during this time. So just kind of started, you know, I worked from home a lot. I got into a different mindset with like working out and stuff like that. I actually started working out a lot more heavier with 2 of my good friends, Ryan and Taylor. Shout out them. You know, they we went to the gauntlet, all of us, and
yeah, both been on the podcast. Check out their episodes.
Yeah, good guys. And you know, we got into crazy shape and stuff, and you know, just did my normal thing. You know, hanging out with friends, doing it. You know, it was nicer during the summertime, obviously, of that period of 2020 where you know everyone was outside more, so it was a lot easier to you know do certain things like you know normal stuff of going to beaches, you know, going to bars, things like that. So that was nice. And then I got to the point where I was getting kind of stagnant in my career and I wanted to kind of further it forward. So there was an opportunity for me with my current company that I was at the time to move to Maryland and, start doing like travel engineering. So I started doing that. And for me, it was really cool. I got to meet a lot of different people. I got to see, different companies, how they do things and whatnot. So it was really cool. I was basically just like setting up our equipment. But all good things never last, I guess, forever like that. So, I mean, it was a good job, good paying job, things like that. But the kind of interviews with like my managers at the time, it didn't really work out the way I wanted it to. They'll tell you whatever they want to tell you to get hired. Remember that in the corporate world.
Facts.
It's pretty crazy. So, I ended up like kind of steering myself into that direction. And I figured I was like, you know what, I can find myself a better opportunity, in another biotech company that's around this type of area. So I just kept looking. And now I currently work at United Therapeutics in Silver Spring, Maryland. So it's what I'm doing currently. I can't go into too much detail on it because they are like types of pharmaceuticals jobs that they manufacture. So I can't go, in depth on that. But
yeah, that's fine.
What I do for my job is I'm a validation engineer. So I, will basically the equipment that we use to store all the, pharmaceutical drugs and things that make the actual drugs, I have to make sure they're approved and okay every year through the FDA. So we have, tons of different equipment. So for me, it was a very big learning step. And now I'm learning, a bunch more and life's going pretty good. So.
Yeah, I mean, kudos to you for being willing to further your career and go somewhere different. Mm-hmm. And we kind of had that conversation off podcast prior to you like moving, since like I had moved to Texas and I've lived in Georgia, and I had taken those steps before in my life where removing yourself from your environment is sometimes the best thing you need to do because it opens your eyes up to literally everything. So I want you to kind of talk about that experience from like you personally, whether it was from like if you figured or experienced anything physically or emotionally or mentally when you had moved away from everything you knew. I don't know if you had lived anywhere else prior than like kind of like the Rhode Island, Massachusetts area, but like
no, I mean
to go there.
I was on I've obviously done like the vacations here and there for weeks at a time, but never actually taken all my stuff and moved and said bye to everyone and, left, and I don't know when I'm coming back. So it was a cool experience, a little tough though too, because I actually ended up catching COVID in October of 2020 before I moved. So it set everything back. And at that time they were like they didn't really know obviously kind of how to deal with it in HR situations at work. So they were like, oh, you need a negative test before you come back. And then the doctor was telling me, she's like, well, you're going to test positive probably for the next like 2 months. You're just asymptomatic. So you're not going to be able to contain, like give anybody the virus. The typical stuff that, everybody says. So they had to like work it out with HR and eventually I got to go back, but that prolonged everything. So I was supposed to move like towards the end of October, but I ended up moving towards the beginning of November, like around there. And, so I basically packed up a U-Haul and drove down. It was about, so it's a 6-hour drive, six and change. So it's not too bad. It's still pretty close, so I can still see my mom and family and stuff like that. And obviously all the friends. But yeah, it was tough to meet people. And for me personally, I was more of doing the whole, I travel a lot for work. So I was pretty much in hotel rooms, 3 to 5 days a week. So it was tough and, mentally and physically to kind of meet different people and be able to kind of, I don't know, because how people, like some people are really different during the pandemic. Some are like, okay, like you're okay. Whereas other people are like, I don't even want to talk to you. Like just come in here and do what you got to do and get the hell out.
That's such a unique, because it's obviously a unique time in our lives or in history where we're experiencing a pandemic like this where people are literally terrified to meet new people. Mm-hmm. So to have that in your job where you have to go and travel and you have to go and meet new people, I can imagine that being taxing on the mental health, especially when they don't want to talk to you.
I had no choice. It was either talk to these people or, that you're just going to be silent. And I'm not that type of person. I think from people who listen, who actually met me, I love to talk and it's like one of my favorite things to do. So it's, it's easy for me to have a conversation with pretty much anybody. But it's just a matter of being able to talk to that person. If they don't want to talk back, it's kind of like, okay, well now I get the point.
Yeah, you learn how to communicate better too when you deal with people like that, honestly. Right. Because, and especially since I've done this podcast over and over with so many different people, I've had to learn how to gain people's trust through communicating with them and get them comfortable expressing all the things that have gone in their life, whether it could be from career to family members passing away to, I don't know, accidents, sports, whatever it is,
Right.
to get them to open up to me like that. So I could definitely relate to that, where you're trying to, and especially when I did move away, to go try to make friends with people. And obviously when I did, it wasn't obviously a pandemic, so there's obviously a different dynamic to it.
Oh yeah, life's like not even the same anymore. It feels like, like it's just like a totally different, the way that you adapt and have to survive in these types of environments is just completely different than what it used to be. But I mean, it's not not doable. People can do it. I think people are doing it. We're all doing it still currently and adapting to this Omicron and all, whatever virus we're going to get next.
It's weird how normal this has become.
Yeah.
Like we're going into 2022 now, and like
it's still happening.
Yeah,
It's not going to stop.
It kind of honestly drives me a little crazy when I hear, whether it's work or people online or the news, it's like, we got to do this to get back to normal. That's kind of past living. I don't like that thinking.
I think it will be normal again, but it's going to take years. It's going to.
I don't think that normal is ever going to exist again, to be honest.
Really? Yeah, I think it will.
You got to think about all the mental aspects of this. Like, think about all these children that have been affected of COVID. That's going to be the new generation in the workforce, in the schools, in like politics and everything. And our generation into politics, because obviously it's usually aged.
Right.
So we're all growing up with this. So that old normal that we once used to experience, obviously I think the freedoms and stuff like that will be,
will come back.
Hopefully we'll come back. Hopefully we can rally around each other and become the country that we want to be. But the mental thing, and I think that's one of the biggest things that's not talked about during the pandemic, is the effects of that COVID is having on our mental health.
Right.
Like the isolation, the working from home, the school classrooms do Zoom and things like that, where we're not really experiencing people anymore.
Right.
Like everything in, like, even if you look at like Facebook becoming Meta and like talk of the metaverse, and like I'm kind of excited about that. Being a social media person, being an online person, I personally like that.
It's definitely a cool concept, and I think that it'll definitely take itself off, eventually, especially during the time now. But that is a good point you bring up about just people not wanting to, go out and do the normal socializing and stuff that we've done for years. I mean, we also grew up, during technology, it was coming out to be a thing. Like, we still had, like, let's say we were born in the 90s, all of us. So majority of people that.
Not anymore. It's so weird when someone's like, I'm born in year 2000. Like,
yeah,
but that's a thing? That's a thing?
Yeah, it's like everyone's drinking now.
All those people. It's so weird.
It's cool. But it's just a good thing to bring up because, people don't even. It's like hard to have a conversation like that because they want to sit inside. But another thing too is like, just how many people can have careers now on, like, let's say like a Twitch streaming platform, or what you're doing even with the podcast, like people
YouTube,
blow up on
TikTok,
this, yeah,
everything.
It's insane, and it's not in a bad way, like it's still,
people make careers out of this,
yeah,
and
it's
help
awesome.
people.
Like, good for them too. I don't get to take that route specifically, but I enjoy my career and being an engineer, and I think that it's cool that I actually get to help people. And to be completely honest, my new company is like, I've never felt this type of like environment where it's like, I don't know, they just take very good care of their employees. And you don't really get that in many companies. Like, especially my last one I was in, for me, it was toxic. I had to leave because it just, like, the way that the environment was and the way my managers portrayed the job in general from the beginning, wasn't what I was expecting. So, kudos to them. And like, I thanked them and said, thanks for the opportunity, but I'm looking for something more. So,
yeah. And I've actually talked openly about my experience in a toxic work environment before I started this pod. It literally is what created the podcast, essentially, was being in a place mentally and emotionally and literally physically where I was so unhappy with everything that was around me, unhappy with the work, with the people, the environment, everything. And when you're in that emotional place, in that kind of feeling of being stuck, almost like this is not where I'm supposed to be, it drives creativity, it drives motivation, it drives passion. Mm-hmm. And it can go the other way too.
Right.
That's the thing with people, is like, it can go, it's a two-way street. You can either become more depressed and more anxious and more stuck, or you can remove yourself and actually create something really fucking dope. And it sounds like you were able to do that for yourself and remove yourself from an environment that was not suitable for you to actually advance your career and build what you ultimately want for yourself.
Right.
And now you're in a place where you're actually valued, you're appreciated, and you actually,
it sounds like
you enjoy what you do.
Yeah,
and like,
it feels good to, to be appreciated like that. I think moving too is just really nice too, because, it's not, obviously it's great. I'm home to visit and it's awesome right now. And it's like, but it's also nice to be in that your own little environment, and then you're branching out, meeting new people, and trying to figure this out and trying to figure that out, and then even career wise too, because it's all different.
Yeah, and
To the people that you meet, you hear.
I'm starting to enter into that, and I've kind of already put that space, and obviously we're going to talk about 2021 kind of year in review, but that mental space of being in kind of like what's next. Like I think everyone should have that kind of mindset where you're looking towards the future, you're analyzing, especially this time of the year. Maybe it's me. I hope everyone would feel like this, but I get really reflective. I get really introspective.
I think everyone is. They express it in a different way for sure. Because like I do it to myself in my head all the time. Like I'm like, all right, I want to be at this stage at this point. Like I just kind of, I guess it's planning out. Even though I say I don't, because I'm kind of more like a go with the flow type person. Yeah.
Yeah, and like there's nothing wrong with that. And like I've been like that for a majority of my life. But because like when you throw a pandemic into our lives, it's hard to make plans because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen
next.
So it's hard to look 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. You don't even know. Like, but to put stuff out into the universe, to say things openly I did a vision board for 2021, and surprisingly, a lot of the things that I put on there, except love, apparently I can't get that, but a lot of things I did put on there, I got. And like one of the things I got them in different ways. So like visualization has helped me kind of start to put stuff out into the universe. Recently, I've been doing like a manifestation journal. It's called the 369 method, which was, I'm pretty sure was invented by Nikola Tesla. And his method pretty much was 3 times in the morning, you write your affirmation, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times at night. And every time you do that, you think about it while you're doing it, and then you just let it go. So what I've been writing for myself personally is I'm the healthiest me, and I'm thankful for my growing social media. I'm trying to manifest, because I've honestly started since right after my birthday. I started working out in the morning again. I've cut my diet. I've already lost 10 pounds.
I love working out in the morning, man. It's so like it makes you awake even like without like a cup of coffee or anything. Like
the thing is too, and like I want people to know who push against the morning workouts. It sucks. I fucking hate waking up.
Yeah,
like,
it's not fun all the time.
I literally this morning like was so close to sleeping in, but like I go and tell myself like, and this is how I do it personally. Probably shouldn't for other people, but I'm like, you're a fucking piece of shit. You better get out of bed right now.
Right now,
like,
or else, yeah.
Like get the fuck up. And like I'll sit there. I'm like, fuck, and then I get up, because then once you start moving, you're good. And then after the workout, you feel fucking great. All the endorphins released while working out helps you motivate you like during your day. Like I feel better at work. I'm more focused at work. I'm more energized. Yeah, I get tired at night. I go to bed maybe 9 or 10. Like,
see, that's my problem too. I always like that. I still stay up later, and I still get up really early, but I don't really need that much sleep.
Yeah, I just
like it's weird. I'm like, if I just I can function on 5 to 6 hours of sleep like daily for like 5 days. I mean, on the weekends I do get a little tired.
I'd rather not. And like if I'm not doing anything, like because like also it helps me control my diet if I just go to bed. Because then
you're not eating.
Yeah, I get hungry, and then you're not really supposed to eat past like I think it's like 8 or 9.
Yeah, I try not to either. I try to do the whole weekends, steps.
I'll let myself do what I need to do, but like
you need that time.
Yeah,
I think everyone should take that like one day to kind of like I guess not focus on it as much, because I mean I have to watch. I watch a lot what I eat and put into my body because of the fact that I have a lot of bad history in the past with like family health issues.
Yeah.
So for me, with the diabetes and stuff like that, I try to control everything that I put in at least. And it's actually really funny too, because I thought I was eating really healthy, and then a friend of mine came to visit, and he looked at my fridge and was like, "You're eating all this stuff? Like, look at what's in here." And I didn't really take the time to like
go some of the stuff. I'm kind of curious.
Just I'll just name a specific one I remember is like EDTA, which is like stuff when I worked my previous job when I first left, like working as a restaurant, like bartender and server. I was in a laboratory, and I was basically making these types of like DNA kits, and we were mixing a bunch of chemicals together. And some of them you actually had to be like, you had to have a background check by the FDA in order to put these chemicals in. And we had like the mask on and everything. Like this is before COVID too, so like it wasn't really a thing to have a mask on all the time, like in a lab. So it was pretty crazy, and all that stuff was kind of inside of this processed food. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, well, growing up, we didn't really, I didn't have the choice of being like, oh yeah, I want this instead because it's healthier.
Yeah.
Like, I just kind of, obviously whatever my mom cooked, I ate, growing up. So it was fine. But it was just that all that stuff was inside of this processed food. I was using different type of deodorant, things like that. That wasn't like the greatest for you either. That can cause cancer eventually. So I kind of did some research on it, and I was like, wow, this is pretty interesting, and it makes sense to kind of go the healthier way. So I started like buying organic stuff, like, when I go to the grocery store, and I actually put in the time to look at the labels to see what's inside of it, because you really don't know. And it's scary sometimes too. I mean, America, basically the best way to eat food nowadays, it's crazy to say it, but is like from a farm, like right away. So they don't process anything, because you're getting that stuff processed anyway from the grocery store. So you really got to watch out like what you're eating. I mean, not everyone has to, but I mean, that's kind of how I do it.
Like, you're right. No, you're right. Like, a lot of the stuff that they put, if you actually really looked at even deeper, like compared to other countries, like we have way more stuff that's banned in other countries allowed in our country, in our food. A lot of these chemicals and processed foods, like the sugars and all this shit, a lot of this stuff is like banned in other countries. Like, it should not be in our food, but we just allow it. And
don't get me wrong. I mean, especially since I've been home, I've been, going out to eat more.
I mean, I love Taco Bell too. Like, I ain't gonna lie, like, that's not good for you, but I love Taco Bell. Like, so I think the real issue with like health and fitness, especially in America, is just balance.
Yeah, it's true.
Because like, you don't gotta be a fucking fitness trainer. You don't gotta be a bodybuilder. You don't gotta be none of that. Just take care of yourself well enough where you look in the mirror and you're like, I actually look good and I'm confident about myself.
And like, you feel good. Once you feel good like that, then your mental health increases. It's all
absolutely
around better.
And like, you don't have to necessarily look at the scale. It's just easier to look at a scale than do measurements on their bodies. So that's why people tend to look at scales for numbers, because obviously people are addicted. At least I'm an accountant, so I'm addicted to the numbers.
Yeah.
So
I'm an engineer, same way.
That helps me keep track of where I'm at, but like, it's not the best statistic, because if you look at yourself in the mirror and you still look good, like, you could tell that you're losing body fat and like you're getting more muscle and things like that, then like, who cares about the fucking weight? Like, the weight doesn't really matter that much.
Right, as long as you feel good and you're about it.
That's what I try to tell people. And like, this past year, I've definitely fell off the wagon on my working out, and like it's like when I lived by myself, it was so easy to kind of control exactly what I was eating.
Yeah, you mean.
And I took really good care of myself. I worked out and like, I was on my shit. Like, I'd lost like, I think it was 20, almost 20, 30 pounds.
Yeah.
When right before I came back, and I stayed pretty good, pretty consistently. I think I honestly got close up to 40 pounds, and it started to slowly come back. And like, I started slowly falling off the wagon, and I started getting like, honestly, when I got happier, I started falling off the wagon. Like, I started getting more comfortable, more content with everything. And like, I stopped caring so much. I'm like, I'm fine. I could eat that. And I started eating whatever I wanted to. And it started catching up, and then I looked at the scale and I was like, oh shit, I gotta fix this. Like, I could see it happening.
Well, yeah, I guess it all depends on your body type too. Like, some people yeah. Like, I know for me, I have a very slow metabolism. I've known that from the start. So that's why I do my extra stuff and what I have to do. And that's why I work out constantly. But there's people that I talk to that don't even need to work out. And
some people don't need it. It's fine for them. It's crazy.
It's good for them.
Like, I use my fitness pal. Like, so I I can scan everything. And like, I honestly, for now, I don't do anything crazy with my meals. Like, for lunch, you ever heard of the frozen healthy choice dinners?
I have not, no.
Yeah, I just get those. There's like, they're low calories, high in protein. Like, everything seems pretty good, tastes good, done. Takes like 4 minutes.
I try to do portion size better for me, because
they're small. They're small. Like, I looked up, because like, I didn't want to. For some reason, I don't like cooking in my own house. Like, I like my own space to cook. I could cook upstairs and be fine, but like, for some reason, I just don't like doing it in my parents' house. Like, maybe I just don't like it. So I wanted something quick. So I was like looking for like the healthiest like versions, because I was always hearing of people doing you could order meal preps and things like that online that are frozen and stuff. I was
they have like the Hello Fresh, I think, meals and stuff like that. I've heard of those.
So I was like, how can what's
but I don't know
the healthiest, cheapest one that I could probably, not really cheapest, the healthiest version of that I could get in a store. And Healthy Choice came up and tastes good. I've noticed good results with it. Like,
so you do it? Like, you've been doing it consistently now?
Yeah, I pretty much from Monday to Friday for lunch. That's what I have, and then dinner, using whatever my mom makes, is fairly healthy, and I just control the portion. That's really it. And like, I put myself in a calorie deficit. That's it. Like, I'm not doing anything crazy. Like, to lose weight, like, obviously, if you talk to someone who's into fitness, it's like they're gonna give you different answers and probably more in depth than I could. But just be in a calorie deficit. Just eat less than what you're normally eating. And just make sure you're working out like 5 to 6 times a week. It's really
what it comes down to. Like, the diet, because diet's key, especially like with
diet's everything.
Yeah,
like, diet is literally like, I think I heard someone say once it was like 10% workout, like 90%, or it was like 20% workout, 80% diet.
But
Like,
yeah, I mean, you definitely, you feel differently too. Cause I mean, obviously like I don't feel as great as I normally do. I feel like because I've been eating kind of like
You
not the
notice.
greatest. Yeah, I can feel it like right now, like this week.
a lot of the things that you
because
feel in
I've
your
had
body,
all this-
it's in your gut. All
Right.
your gut, a lot of it goes up to your brain and creates the emotions that you can feel and stuff because of like the gut bacteria that we have. Like,
And I'll be going back obviously to my routine and stuff
yeah,
like
yeah,
that. You know, when
you're
I get
home,
back
you're
yeah.
living the holidays. Like, this is the hardest time to stick to routine.
It really is.
That's why like I've kind of pressured myself to like start during this time of the year because it's like I kind of told myself, I also believe in you shouldn't wait for the new year to start something that you actually want to do. Like,
Oh
I
yeah,
think
we're gonna
that's-
get the surge of people. Well,
Yeah.
I don't want to guess I bring out anybody bad, but
yeah, the New Year's resolutions. I'm like, if you really wanted to change, you would have already done it.
and then by like March, you know, they
They
fade
fall
out.
off.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, if you really wanted to do something, you wouldn't wait for a new year. You just do it. So like, I just started doing it right after, like the week after my birthday.
Yeah.
Like my tattoo had healed up. Like I just finished my sleeve. Actually, so I don't know if have you ever
haven't
seen
seen
it?
it, no.
I'll show you after the
Yeah.
podcast. But I finished it up. I was like, I want to get serious about this. And I was actually talking to someone and she was doing morning workouts and like seeing her kind of do it was like, and I was already planning on doing it. I ordered a stationary bike. I was gearing up to meal prep. I was like looking
I'm
at
a
all the
big
stuff.
Peloton fan.
It's like, it's not even a Peloton. I got it off Walmart. It was like $150
Okay,
on
yeah.
sale. Like it's like a cheap
You can
one.
actually use the app too, I think, on
Yeah,
your phone, and then you just place it there, and then
be honest,
basically it's like you're riding a Peloton. I mean, the
I
Peloton's a little
scroll on
expensive.
TikTok while I'm doing it.
Yeah,
it's like-
whatever works.
Or I'll watch a podcast, but like I'll just fucking be like hammering away, just scrolling and shit. And like,
What I like about Peloton though is like the class that they put you through are insane because like they make you keep up with like the cadence, which
Yeah,
is, like,
yeah,
you
the
know,
pace and all that
how
stuff.
fast pace you're going, and then like the actual resistance of how fast the bike's going. If you're climbing uphill, if you're going downhill, the hit.
yeah, this bike, it's not like
I do a lot of the hit and hills like
it's the
stuff on
resistance,
it.
so it's kind of like it's kind of old school kind of
Yeah,
bike.
but, I mean it's still fine. It gets
It's
the
just
job
enough.
done.
I really got it for the winter. So it's like,
I'm pretty. My work has 2 Pelotons, so it's really nice. And
then you see my stuff. I got everything
Yeah.
here, so I roll out of bed and fucking hit this shit.
That's
And, like,
nice, too.
And I work from home, so I really don't gotta like go be doing stuff. So like,
yeah, I'll get up early and commute there. For me, it's been easier too. I just got a puppy, so she's been up and up very late. So I've been very early, I should say. So it's been kind of hard to kind of get that steam rolling, but it's been working out. And so now I get into work earlier, and then they have a gym there, so I can work out there quick, and then shower, and then get up to my desk and start my day.
I just feel better. And like even to finish up on the manifestation stuff, but just writing that every single day and doing that and like speaking, I'm starting to really understand the power. And I've been reading a lot of books lately about this type of stuff. And like one of the books I read was Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And it talks about all these different things that if you really want change, you have to start creating new habits. And I read a book about called Atomic Habits, but creating the small habits that lead to the bigger habits and changing those every day. And if you really want these things to change, you have to like do the small stuff first.
Oh yeah,
And you have to be consistent. Like the same thing with like this podcast. Like I want to make sure I get the camera on the right time. Go. There we go. Back on. But with the books, one, I was never super into reading. And I kind of just like started seeing on TikTok, on Instagram, books where people are recommending. And I was like, let me get one. And I was usually doing like the audiobooks, but I was like,
then you bang through them, and you're kind of like, all right.
there's something about flipping the pages of a physical book
I like
just
that way
feels
better.
so gratifying. And once you read stuff that you actually want to read, it makes a huge fucking difference. So this entire, like I'd say since July, because I went through, this kind of goes in tie with the year in review. I went in, we'll kind of steer into that a little bit right now, like kind of like our year in review. In July, so I'll just flash back. So basically in January, I was still getting over the situationship that I got over, I was dealing with in 2020. So I was really getting over those emotions. I just had lost my grandfather in November of 2020. So still kind of dealing with a lot emotionally. And I started getting my tattoos. And it was something that I've always kind of like wanted to do, but I never had the courage to kind of like do. No one in my
Still gotta
family,
get one myself. I don't have
Yeah.
any yet.
but like no one in my family had it, none of that stuff. So it's kind of like, it was, and it's permanent. Like, it's permanent. It's like, it's a big deal.
Oh, big commitment. Yeah.
And being in such an emotional place, it kind of allowed me to kind of just be myself. Like stop caring so much about what other people think of you. Like just be who you want to be and just do it unapologetically. And like this podcast has been a huge reason why I've been able to do that. So I started doing the tattoo sleeve.
Yep.
Started working on that. Have a great artist. Shout out to Iron Lion. Shout out to Tara. She's amazing. Check her out on Instagram. It just allowed me to be more confident about myself. And I told her that. I'm like, and I've talked to you about this privately, but being a shorter guy, I definitely feel sometimes, most of my life, I've always been like kind of felt insecure that people look down on me. Like, I mean, literally, but like I always felt like I had to prove myself to everybody. And that's why I've always,
that's the thing. You don't got to prove yourself to anyone.
And,
that's my opinion. I don't.
It's helped me though, become the person who I am because like it made me work hard. It made me like, I'm going to prove you, I'm just as good as you, if not better than you. And like usually, obviously, in the sport aspect, I don't like to say that stuff.
Because that's the cool thing too. Is like obviously everyone comes from a different cloth. So it's like you're like, let's say this person has both their parents together, or this person lost somebody, or vice versa. And it's like you come from where you come from, so you kind of have to make obviously yourself, you be you and figure out kind of how you're going to go to your next level and where you want to be in life. It could be wherever. Like, it doesn't have to be a whole. I guess kind of like. It doesn't have to be a challenge, You can get to a certain area and be comfortable with that for the rest of your life and be completely okay with that. Like that's you, As long as you're happy and you're living your life, that's what it really is. I feel like for me, that's kind of like what life is all about in general. It's like just being generally happy about yourself and how you're living life, like And I can, you can look yourself in the mirror and smile every day, pretty much.
That's facts. Yeah. Like they try to push out sometimes in this world and society that money is going to solve all your problems. And it definitely solves problems. I'm not going to say it doesn't. But like...
It makes everything easier. But I like it to like travel more and just make life easier.
But like once you start doing the things that make you happy and you live more in who you actually are and you stop trying to be other people instead of just trying to be yourself. Once you be yourself and you do it kind of unapologetically, you're going to feel a lot happier. You're going to feel more free. You're not trying to hide something. And like this last 2 years... And like, not everyone has taken this pandemic this way, but I've kind of really used it as a way to be kind of introspective about myself. Like, I've had more isolation time. I've had more time to myself to think about where I want to be, to who I want to be, to how I want to speak to people, to how I want to portray myself to the world, essentially. And I've gone through a lot of things emotionally that I wasn't really prepared for. Like, I didn't have the tools to cope with things. And I just finished therapy in October, end of October.
Props for you for going on that too. It's
I appreciate
a great step. You know what I mean? Like it's everyone should that thinks about doing it should definitely do it.
No, I highly encourage anyone who's, especially men, that if you're struggling emotionally, please find a therapist. Like there are so many great therapists out there. Just make sure that you find the one that aligns with your insurance, obviously, because that cost can be.
Oh yeah. Don't kill yourself doing it.
Yeah, it could be very damaging. Mine was like $5 a session because my therapy was covered by my insurance.
Oh, that's nice.
It was amazing.
That's some good insurance there, huh?
Yeah. So I was double covered at the time. But,
That's good.
But and the thing too with therapy is you're not always going to find the right therapist, the first try. I got fucking lucky.
Yeah.
The first person who I ever went to, and I did virtual because obviously the pandemic, and I liked virtual. I had no problem opening up to someone through a FaceTime type thing. I was fine with it, but some people do prefer the in-person. I was fine with what I did, but my therapist was everything that I needed, and she challenged me and accepted me for who I was and allowed me to feel what I need to feel and give me actual advice that could help me become a better person.
Right, and it did. I can tell just from the last time we really like sat down and talked was obviously the last time we did the podcast, and I can just tell your aroma in general. I can tell that you're loving this, number one, which is great. Yeah. You should definitely keep doing this because one, I think it's working, and you put in the money and stuff into it with the equipment, and that's not even what it's really all about. I mean, and it seems like you're happy doing it, so it's like why not? And I think it's a cool platform you got. Yeah. Screw all the haters.
Yeah, I'm just
you're doing you, bro, and that's all that matters.
Just trying to give a voice to people who might not necessarily have had a voice, who don't feel like they have a voice sometimes. Like, how many times do you get a chance to talk about yourself openly? Like, have someone even ask about some of the stuff you've gone through in your personal life? Like,
yeah, you don't.
Most people don't do that, and especially now. Like, that rarely ever happens because we don't get the chance, and some people just don't even fucking care. I'm doing it because I want to give people a chance to share your story. Like, I want to learn because the best way to learn is from other people.
Right.
And every connection that I make, hence the Carroll connection, leads to a better relationship with that person and a stronger tie and a network that we're creating of that's promoting positivity, motivation, and mental health. Hint, hint at the bottom. That's what it's all about, is encouraging those things. And these last 2 years, because I've been doing the podcast, this is year 3 now, we're going on this, and it's so crazy. And like, even my mom said it to me, it's like, I'm surprised you're still doing it. I'm like, kind of same. Like,
You stick with it,
like,
man. Yeah.
I've always been a really consistent person when I find something I really enjoy. And that was something I learned through sports early on, is how to be consistent, how to work hard at something, how to put in the time and the effort. And then with social media, you just got to learn it takes time to be patient. And that was a huge thing I learned with therapy.
Yeah.
Is things aren't going to happen right now. Just give it a chance. Let things develop. Like, life, they say life happens fast, but you got to let life happen sometimes. Like, you can't just like be grabbing and chasing everything so much, because that's going to sometimes push things away, especially when you talk about relationships. Chasing things just push shits away. Talking
really
from personal
respected-
experience.
I really respected, Coach Vernon Crawford when we had him. I only had him for 1 year, unfortunately, but to me, he was kind of like my favorite coach, because he didn't really care about, obviously, the whole like Seacock name and stuff like that. It was more of like, okay, if you work hard, you're going to play. Like, I don't care if you're a freshman, you're a sophomore, you're a senior, like whatever it was. This was back in high school, of course.
Yeah, I like that, to be honest. People hated it, but
I liked it because, it gave me an opportunity to show what I could do. And I wasn't obviously not the greatest athlete in the world, but, I had fun doing it. And I think we were terrible that year. We won 2
got our
games.
ass kicked. we came close in that Thanksgiving game. We came damn close.
Yeah, we
Like,
did.
We were close. Like, it's the first year in an offense. Like, I mean, it's not
exactly.
really much
You're not going to be
do.
great at it,
And,
but I just always respected that guy. And like you always say, I think, because I listened to past episodes as well too. Like, he taught a lot of life lessons, not just about football, but about life. And it sticks with you,
Yeah.
And it's great and everything. But, that whole mindset of working hard and stuff is, for me personally, I've done it since I was young, just because, I had other situations happen with like my mom, being a single parent. She had to raise my sister and I like without, and not really that much help. So it was tough, but, she got through it, and I think I turned out all right.
Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say you're pretty damn successful for everything that's been going on. And that, one of the craziest things I've learned too this year is like, comparison is literally the thief of joy.
Yeah.
Like, straight up, when you start comparing yourself, and like, as a social media content creator, it is so hard not to do that. To look at someone who's like, damn, they started when I did and they're there. Or you look at someone else, they started when I did and I'm here, and like, look at them.
So now
like,
I'm trying to repay it back. So like, I brought her, my mother, to a Red Sox game this year. It was like a playoff one for, like, she's just turned 60. It was her first one ever. Like, and she's the one who bred me as a, Red Sox and Patriots fan growing up. So like, I've, been a sports fanatic for a long period of time. And it was like, I'll never forget the smile on her face, like when we like were at the game, and then they ended up going 13 innings, and then Christian Vasquez hit a walk-off home run. It was great.
hell yeah.
We beat the Rays in that series, so it was good. But fortunately, we didn't get all the way to the series. But that's this year coming,
Yeah, no.
if they get out of lockout.
Well, that's a huge issue. Like,
I know.
It's nice as we're getting older in age that we're able to kind of pay it back like that now.
Yeah, no,
And,
exactly.
Like, now that we're coming into legit adult money, and like, it's crazy to think like 27, right?
Yeah, yep.
26. Like, to be that age, it's like, I still feel like I'm like 21 sometimes.
Yeah,
like,
sometimes
it's like,
weird.
It's
Yeah,
like,
you're
what the fuck?
I'm really
Like,
getting this up there. Like, I'm almost 30.
we're close. Yeah, we're closer to 30 than
Yeah.
20. So it's like, it's like crazy. But like, with age comes literally wisdom, with all the experience, and like learning from all the life experiences that we have, especially a year like 2021, where obviously 2020 was derailed by COVID. 2021 was like, we knew what we were dealing with, and it's like, how are you going to come back from
How do you
this?
manage through it?
Yeah. And 2022, I don't know what the fuck is going to happen. Like, it just seems like it's just chaos. But like, I jokingly say all the time, I thrive in chaos.
Yeah, I actually, so I basically had like, I've always had a bucket list, like since I think I was growing up, like within high school and stuff like that too. And one thing was for me to go on a cruise, and I finally went on a cruise last month, and it was the best time. Like, I mean, I like traveling in general. So I paid to get my passport done, which I was a little mad about because I paid extra for it, and it came in like a month later. I'm like, I only expedited it because it said it was going to barely come in on time. And then it came in like within a month, and it was like 3 more months until I was going on the cruise. I'm like, whatever. So I got it in. But it was just great. I mean, I met so many different types of people. And I even like, you just going out and just doing your own thing on the cruise ship is like just pretty crazy. And then just going to these different islands, seeing these different cultures and how they live is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then of course, just having a good time drinking while you're doing it too.
Yeah,
It's always
fucking
great.
course.
That's how you meet people and stuff like that. So it was a good time, but that's always like something I I encourage people to do is like travel and just get out there, because there's a huge world out there, and I still need to see a lot of it. I envy people that have like traveled to different states, and even in the U.S. in general, because I did that in my previous job, going to different like states, just working, and it was cool just to go to different restaurants and go to different places, and just see different cultures. It's cool.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that I haven't been able to do recently. I just haven't been traveling, and like.
It's not a bad thing though right now either, because honestly, well, especially right now, like,
like
you get another couple months, you might be able to start doing it.
Because and that's why I've been like, I really haven't taken vacations. I haven't been doing anything, and like, it's crazy because I was just starting to kick tires on traveling. I lived in new places. I went to Spain right before pandemic. Like, obviously, like, I was like super excited to go. I want to travel Europe, but obviously with the way the world is right now, that's really not.
It's feasible, but it's just not. It's not there yet. Yeah. Well, with just everything going on.
With everything going on, it's just like there's so much extra hoops to jump through. The cost of everything is through the roof. Like, inflation's here. And it's like, it really, like I said, it forced me to be introspective. This year was really about me. Like, we all jokingly at the beginning of every year is like,
New Year, new me.
Yeah, New Year, new me. It's going to be me. It's going to be my year. And 2021 honestly turned around and slapped me in the face and said, hey, you got some work to do.
Oh, yeah. Same. But I mean, that's a good way, though. You know what I mean? Because it pushes you and motivates you, motivates you to kind of be better and, become better, because there's always room for improvement, I feel like, in general, no matter who you are.
Yeah, it's like I was looking at, it's like you have multiple paths in life. And I was looking at this one path, and like 2021 just slaps me in the face, like, nobody over here. And I was like, you're right. I should be looking over here.
Right.
And I've been more focused when I'm talking about that. The over here was me. I need to be more focused on myself, because like I said I was, but I was so focused on so many other people trying to create relationships for myself. Because like one thing for me, I'm open and honest about it, is I would love a relationship. I would love a family. I want kids. And like that's something I've never really had successfully. And I definitely chased to a certain extent. And like I had to acknowledge that in therapy, was like, I need to learn to stop chasing stuff that's just not working.
Just focus on you, man. That's what I do a lot. And for me, it works. I'm happy. I'm doing my thing. And, if it comes along, it comes along. It doesn't. I'm just kind of, like I said, going with the flow.
Yeah. And like, I'm trying to be more open to that idea, but at least for dating. And like, I don't necessarily agree with just go with the flow. I try to be intentional with my dating, and it scares so many people away. But like, I'd rather just be open and honest than build a pointless connection with someone.
It's not a bad thing, because we're at that age too.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to waste people's time either, because it's
we're not little kids anymore.
Yeah, like if you realistically think about it, like we're 26, 27, gearing up towards our 30s. When I think about it like this: I want to be able to have kids when I'm still young and healthy.
Yeah,
I want to have kids while my parents are still around. Like, so hopefully it's probably not until I don't want to wait till my late 30s to have kids. Doesn't seem like a great idea, honestly. So you also have to think about building the relationship. If you're going to marry that person, like there's like years behind that stuff. So like you start adding years to that stuff. It's like, all right, I should probably get a little bit more serious about my time, what I'm investing in, who I'm investing in, all those different things. This past year, I've invested in myself with my reading, my therapy, journaling, meditation. I got to get better with, but I've been still doing it. The podcast, work, looking at where I'm going to go with the career. I've been looking at that. Start getting invested in crypto. So like,
I've been doing that too. I did well on the whole Dogecoin thing.
I did that. Now I'm into like Ethereum, Solana,
the steadier ones. Go over time.
It's been down lately. I'm down.
That's all right. It always has to come back around. It doesn't matter when.
I know. It's so frustrating.
It's funny too, though,
I was up and I was like, ooh, this is great, because I just invested like a bunch in, and then I was up, and then everything else just went down. I was like, what the? I should have invested a year ago. Like, I knew I should have when. It was like right around when Doge shit was. Honestly, it was around this time last in 2020.
Yeah. Okay.
And like I was watching it. I was like, I should invest, but I was like, I'm gonna wait. And then because I think Ethereum at the time was like maybe 1,800 or something like that.
Yeah, and then it skyrocketed. It was at like $4,000.
I think it's like 3 something.
It's like 3,500 right now. I think, or something like that.
Great time to buy in if anyone's listening. Check out some crypto.
Not financial advice, by the way.
Yeah, don't take my financial advice. I'm actually down, so probably shouldn't listen to me. But hey, who the fuck am I now? NFTs. I've looked at those. I'm not sold yet.
Yeah, I'm gonna look more into it too myself. But
I'm
I
interested.
Really, yeah.
There's so
I know like people like Tom Brady and stuff like that. They endorse it, which
You know when rich people are endorsing something, there's something there. Like,
Right. It's just crazy because they can swing the tide just like this. And
yeah, there's so many iffy things about it right now, but I think once like the metaverse starts coming into play, like NFTs are going to hold more weight and stuff like that, and then
it'll probably get more popularity.
Yeah.
That's kind of the whole thing with Dogecoin too, because realistically, if you look at the background of it, it's not even a real coin.
Yeah.
Like these
joke.
two engineers made it back in like 2012, 2013.
Yeah, no, everyone's just kind of fucking around.
Yeah, and now it's like the Shiba and everything like that. So it's crazy. But
Yeah. In terms a little bit on your side for 2021 review, how would you kind of say that your year has gone for you?
I'd say a little bit up and down. It was I did a little job switching, but I think just adjusting to the whole new I guess lifestyle and picking up and moving is a lot. I just bought a new car, so you got to do the whole switching over insurances, do all that stuff. Because I didn't have to do it at my last company because they gave me a car, which is pretty nice. But then I had to do the whole thing. But apparently you don't pay excise tax in Maryland either, which I thought was a thing because I was like, wait, I'm like, all right, when's this bill going to come in? Because I know it's coming. I know in Massachusetts you get whacked with it.
Fucking Massachusetts.
Yeah. Well, Maryland's not much different. Of course, I picked the highest county to live in too, like Montgomery County. So do not live there if you come there.
Probably a nice county then.
It is. It's nice. Yeah.
It's not Baltimore, right?
No. I live 40 minutes from Baltimore.
Respect to Baltimore though.
I do. I've been going there for I wait to see when the Red Sox are playing around there or the Patriots. I think we're playing them next year. So I'm gonna try to get tickets ahead of time so I can just go and watch the games. Yeah. Oh yeah, they're fun to watch always. And shout out Mac Jones, doing well.
Yeah, dude.
The rookie's coming into
We'll
play.
see. I mean,
I was a little skeptical at first, but he's been doing all right. But we'll see. How we go and further into the playoffs. Hopefully,
you get to the playoffs. I say successful season.
Oh yeah,
I'm not expecting anything else. I was a little high on them recently when they were doing really great, but I was like, I kept saying, I even said to my barber, I was like, yo, don't be sold on them until the second Buffalo game because that first game was a fluke.
Oh, I know.
I didn't believe that first game.
Well, Belichick
he threw 3 times, bro. That was not a real game.
Belichick's a genius when it comes to that stuff. And
he just
the weather.
played the environment and the conditions.
Yeah.
That's all he did. Back to
my year. Yeah. So
we're getting towards the end.
Okay.
I'll be wrapping up soon.
Yeah. So it was a good year. And it's funny too because a lot of people, it's tough to transition to new jobs. So a lot of people, have that mindset. And to me, it's like I actually had a professor before I left college who was kind of like, listen, you're in the type of industry where it's good to, learn a few things from these companies. So stay a few years and then kind of move on to the next one. Just because you learn more aspects of them and kind of how they do things. And to me, I took that advice and ran with it because I've had, 3 or 4 jobs, I think, since I've graduated college in 2018. But, it's been pretty good. So now I'm getting into the environment where I'm switching in and it's been a little difficult just with new managers and new coworkers to kind of get into that feel and, the way that things are. But for the most part, I'm adjusting pretty well. And I guess right now in my life, I'm planning on, staying in Maryland for now and figuring out where I'm going next. But, everything's going pretty well in 2020 for the most part.
Yeah, it seems like it. Car, dog, new job.
Oh yeah, I got a dog, yep.
Yeah,
so she's,
everything's been...
little German Shepherd that I love her. She's all ready.
That's perfect, dude.
Yeah.
It's
tough work though, man.
Oh, it's like having a kid.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Straight up.
It's literally because just being up constantly with them and then obviously trying to potty train them is another whole realm.
Yeah.
But she's doing pretty well and they're so smart. It's insane.
Oh yeah.
But I can tell she's already attached to me too because I have to go to work, certain hours of the day for a while. Yeah. So I'm doing the crate training and it's working, but it's definitely tough leaving her too. Because I'm I don't want to put you in the crate the whole day, but I have to. So I go back on my lunch breaks and let her out and whatnot.
Yeah,
so.
once she's a little bit older, obviously you won't put her in the crate.
Right, exactly. So
it's
once
just
she's
for
more
now.
tempered, exactly. So
this is what it is.
But yeah, it's going well. I'm happy I made that decision though too because it's been nice having a little friend and companion, with you.
Yeah. It teaches you a lot about yourself too.
Yeah. Exactly. How much you can actually handle your patience wise because
they'll
chew things and do what they got to do, Yeah. They're puppies.
They got their own soul and energy. They're doing their own thing.
Exactly.
Their own personality realistically. So you learn that and you're growing with her. So it's the perfect time in your life to experience that, in at least in my opinion, where you're single, you're doing well for yourself financially, you have a good job, you're in that seems like a great environment for yourself. So to add that responsibility is something that is probably a good thing for you, especially going into the future now. I think a lot of people, especially women, will be attracted to a man that makes good money, has a good dog, has a good career for himself, and is a handsome man.
Yeah, do my thing, Appreciate that.
Of course, brother. So like, it looks, in my opinion, for you, things are going great. And I'm glad that I was able to have you back on the podcast because I want to start slowly bringing back people. I've been saying it for a while that I wanted to bring back people on the podcast and stuff. And it's hard because I'm so addicted to meeting so many new people.
That's right. Yeah, I figured that too. And it's been cool too because I listened to a lot of them, pretty much all of them actually. I think I've listened to. And it's cool to hear all the stories that you have that have come on here, you know, all the different types of personalities, what people are doing. It's just crazy because, you know, even then it's funny because people could switch their entire mentality and be like, oh, hey, you know what? That sounds really interesting. Let me reach out to that person. And then from there, they're like, it sparks new interest and then they find what they love actually. Like maybe they didn't love what they were doing.
I actually appreciate the fact that you actually listen to everyone because like people, a lot of the time, the people who are new, like or not from Seekonk, I mean, their episodes tend to not do as well listener wise.
Oh, gotcha.
Because people don't. A lot of my base is Seekonk.
Yeah, right.
So I obviously realize that some of them don't listen to those, but I would highly encourage listening to people who aren't from your town.
That's like, why. I mean, that's why I like doing
those.
Too, because
like, those are my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Those are my favorite ones because like I don't know them. Like it's a completely new person, a new experience, a new life story, and like a lot of the times they're super honest and vulnerable and like share a lot about their lives. Probably usually more than people who actually I know personally.
Yeah, I mean for me too is that I like to support like local thing, like, you know, businesses and stuff like that, especially people that I know. Like, for instance, I just got my car detailed by John Sisto. His company is Last Ride Auto Detail over in Providence. On
shout out to John. Check out his episode as well. He was on the podcast.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was. And
again, everybody.
his he did a phenomenal job on my car. It looks like brand new, pretty much. I'm like, wow, like you did a great job. Like, thanks, because basically my dog had some accidents in it, so like he did an inside and outside detail, and it looks, you know, phenomenal. So definitely check him out. And you know, I think Carroll, you already, you know, plugged him on all your social media stuff.
Yeah, he plugged in everything. I forget what number episode off the top of my head. We've shot a lot of people today. Fucking Ryan, Taylor, did we talk about Frank?
No, but we did off podcast. But
we talked about Frank. Shout out Frank Perella. Check out his episode. If you need a bodybuilder, coach, or a personal trainer, amazing dude. Shout out him. Check him out. Check his episode out. Sisto. I think that was everyone that we shouted out. We shouted out Rob, obviously, in the beginning from episode 5.
Oh yeah.
But shout out a lot of people. It's so funny. Like I look at it like it's like Pokemon cards, bro. Like I'm collecting everybody. Like,
oh, don't even get me started on them. I'm so mad that I don't have them right now. My mom sold them at a yard sale for $5.
Bro, you be chilling with some money right now.
I actually I have some of my Yu-Gi-Oh cards. I'm like going through them because I went towards you know, Gillette has a it's called the Card Vault, and I saw like a card in there for like $7,000. I'm like a first edition Yu-Gi-Oh card. I go back and look at mine. I got like first edition like 1996 cards. I'm like, all right, well, these are just sitting like in my basement doing nothing.
Eventually, it's gonna be future NFTs.
Yeah. I'm gonna hold them for now and just be like, see what happens.
Might as well sit on it. It can only go up in value, right?
Exactly.
Like, it's obviously gonna be scarce, and people are gonna forget about those things that get ruined over time and shit like that. Just make sure they're not in a bad place.
No, they are. That's the thing. You can't forget about them.
That's the key. We are getting towards the end of the podcast. I want to start wrapping things up. I know I mentioned that question early too off podcast, but I'd rather have you just kind of wrap things up with kind of like your final thoughts, your final words on whether the experience, if you want to leave people with a positive message, a motivational message, however you want to kind of wrap up the podcast. I'll leave that to you.
Sure. Let me think here for a second.
If not, I'll ask the question if that makes it easier for you.
You can ask the question. Yeah.
Yeah. The question that we talked about kind of off air, since I usually have a typical question I do for the podcast is about passions, but obviously Zach's already been on the podcast, so I'm not going to ask the same question. Kind of redundant. So the question I'm going to ask you for especially this specific episode, 2021 year in review, based on the year that you had personally, what advice would you give yourself going into 2022?
Be prepared for anything that comes your way. Just because of the fact that, you know, obviously everything changes according to, like, you know, I pretty much thought like, 2021, like I just got back from my cruise. I tested back like negative and everything for COVID. And then all of a sudden, you know, everyone's getting sick again because of this other Omicron variant and everything. So it's just like, you know, a never ending process with all this, you know, health and stuff going on. So it's, you know, I would say just stay your path, set your own goals too, because I think that's key. That's what I would tell myself. And just be patient too, because I tend to get a little impatient with life and the way it goes. But, you know, you stay the course, eventually things turn into your favor, especially if you pay the dues back and are a good person, which I think a majority of people are, including ourselves. So, yeah.
I think it's a great way to end the podcast, Zach. I appreciate you coming back on the podcast. I love having people come back, and especially you who are a constant supporter of the podcast. You were one of the first people I had on the podcast, so appreciate you so much.
Hey, thanks, man, and keep doing what you're doing. And it's been a pleasure being on here, and maybe I'll come back again in the future.
Would love to have you back. So for you guys, if you guys like the podcast, please rate, review, subscribe, share with your friends, share with your family, share with your grandma. Check it out at thecarrollconnection.simplecast.com. Also available at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the major listening platforms. So until next time, guys, peace.